Hello everyone and welcome back. We are back in DaVinci to talk about Fusion. What is Fusion and why would you want to use this? We are going to grab some footage in here and drop it onto an edit page. And you, of course, can apply some effects. We talked about it before. You can apply some effects in here, but if you want to have some complicated effect or you want to have a great amount of control over them, you need to go to the Fusion. There is a standalone piece of software that is called Fusion Studio that is released by Blackmagic Design, and you can use that. But we are going to use, because we're talking about DaVinci Resolve, we're going to talk about the Fusion page that is in here in DaVinci. And to go in Fusion and to have some clips in there, all you need to do is have your playhead of the clip that you want to edit inside of Fusion, and then click Fusion. Thankfully, all of these pages are dynamically linked. That's why right now we are in Fusion with this clip and even on the same frame. And let's talk about all of that, because this is probably the most difficult and complicated page inside of DaVinci. It's difficult to understand if you've never in your life done something similar to this, because most soft pieces of software, they use like layer-based editing, and Fusion is using node-based editing. We're going to discuss that, so let's have a look at all of the controls that we can find in Fusion. This video is going to be dedicated only to introduction to the Fusion page, because I'll try to move as slowly as possible through the Fusion page, first for you to be able to understand and to grasp everything that it is in here, and secondly to learn everything there is to learn for myself, because I am not an expert of a Fusion page. So let's get through all of this. First of all, we've got media page. As always, as in any of the other pages, it allows us to drag and drop any clip in here and to work with it. Let's delete that. Nothing interesting in here. Now, effects. There are some effects in here that you can find on media, on cut page, on edit page. They are the same, but we also have some effects that are unique to the Fusion page, some complicated, more complex effects compared to those that you can use in the edit page, like Cube 3D, that is to work with a 3D space, like what else, like TV effects, grain, noise. You can go through all of them. For example, lens flares that are available on the Fusion, unique backgrounds, looks, shaders, styled text. You can find all of that only inside of the Fusion. Now, clips. This way you can open any clip and work in Fusion if you do not want to go back to the edit page. And notes. Basically, without notes, you cannot actually do anything in here. But this can be toggled on and off for you to increase this area. To see the effect taking place in here, it's kind of convenient. Now, this area is the main one. It is called Node Editor. This is where you would spend like most of your time. But we also have additional working areas in here. And the first one is called Spline. We're going to talk about that a little bit later. And the third one is called Keyframes. So these are the three spaces that are used inside of Fusion page to fine-tune your effects. Okay? And because this area now is smaller, we have this view that we can like move through to locate our like media in and media out. I'm gonna explain what it means just in a jiffy. Now we have media in. It means that Fusion takes the media that is located on the edit page and uploads it into a Fusion using a dynamic link. So you wouldn't have to open a separate piece of software to work here. It takes media in and this line feeds it into media out. Media out takes everything that you've done to this clip and exports it back to the edit page. Everything that is interesting and fun is happening in between those clips. And all of the effects that you apply, everything is happening in between. Now, on the right, we've talked about spline, keyframes. We're going to talk about that in detail a bit later. Metadata, as before, and inspector, the same as before. Okay. Now, these are viewers. So we have a viewer on the left and viewer on the right. Why do we have two viewers instead of just like this, like one? This is because we can feed different sources to those viewers, and actually we often need to do that inside of Fusion. As you can see, this media out has like these two like circles. One of them is black and the other one is white. The one that is white is on the right, the second one. It means that it's feeding the information to the right viewer. We can feed the media in information into the first viewer, and to do that you can click on the media one and press 1, and it's going to feed the information into the first viewer. Another way to do that is to just click these buttons that are located in here to feed it to either to the left or to the right. Also, you can drag and drop it in here to feed a certain node into a viewer. Why would you want to do that? Because if you just, for example, apply a shape, you need to fine-tune this shape in here and then to see the effect in there. You'll get to what I'm saying a bit later. Now, to clear them, you can either click in here and press tilde, or you can click in here and press tilde, and it's going to clear both of those viewers. So media in 1, media out 2, they are right now in the viewers. Now let's talk about what we can change and fine-tune in the viewers themselves. First of all, as before, as anywhere in here, is the view, 200% feed. It is all the same throughout the whole pages. Now this is going to show us split wipe. You can feed in the same viewer two different nodes. How to do that? You can toggle this control and open like a second part of the same viewer. You can drag this line, you can rotate this line. And how do you feed something different that is different in here? Just take left click on the node that you want to expose in there and just drag it and drop it in here. It means that the left part right now it's media out and the right part is media in. They are right now the same because we haven't applied any effects to them. So this button allows you to do that. Now the second one is going to allow you to show histograms, color inspector, everything you need to inspect and to analyze the final image or the original image, because they are available at the viewers are identical. They are available in both viewers. Now on the right part, first of all, we have ROI. And what is ROI? It is region of interest. If you toggle this on, there is right now a box. This box allows you to define which number of pixels, which area of pixels will be rendered. Because if you are working on something that is really complicated, it takes a lot of resources from your PC, and you do not really want to render the whole image, you can, just a moment, you can move it. For example, I'm working on an effect that is going to be affecting only the eye of this person. So I'm going to create this region of interest, and it's going to update only this portion of the video clip because I do not want to update any other and to slow my machine, because I'm working only on the eye. So you can do that by clicking this icon. Okay, now next to it is the color. If you just click on it, it's going to toggle between color and alpha, the most used ways to look at the image in here. But also drop down menu is going to allow you to select red, green and blue channels separately. Okay, now next to it is a LUT, lookup table. And this LUT is non-destructive. It's not going to change your color grade. But because Fusion comes before color page, Fusion does not take into account any color grading that you've done in the color page. That's why if you're already done something with the color before going to Fusion and creating some effects, it's not going to take into account your color grade. And to create something similar to your color grade, to see what it's going to look once you get to your final image, where all of your effects and your color grade will be applied at the same time, you can select this LUT and, for example, choose Film Looks and 2383. And it's going to convert the image, but only temporarily and only inside of this window. It's not going to affect your color grade, it's not going to affect image on the edit page or any other page, it's going to affect the look only in here. Okay, you can go back to Fusion View LUT and it's now identical. Now, this one allows you to toggle between one viewer and two viewers. Basically, you would like to work, typically you would work in here with two viewers, because sometimes one viewer does not allow you to see what you're really applying, and where you're selecting something, you need to have two viewers basically in here. Now, this is the ruler. It is going to show you the area that that it will be rendered, and it's going to show you all of the frames. As you can see, it's going right now from frame 0 to frame 234. As you can see, these two parameters, they show us that we are going from frame 0 to frame 234. But if we take in an video clip and we define in and out points, like we've talked before, and drag this clip in here, have our playhead over it and click Fusion, you now can see that these yellow lines, they represent the render area, and they are set at in and out points, because there is no point in rendering all of the frames that are before the in point and the ones that are later than the out point. You can change that right in here. It's not going to change the clip into the edit page. It's going to remain the same length, but you can change if you want to some effect taking place and then changing over time, but it's going to start before the initial frame, the in point. You can define that. You can just select this yellow line and drag it to frame, for example, 120. Or you can press Ctrl, select frame 120, and then drag this line towards like frame 420. Okay, you can also fine tune it in here. So select frame 120, select frame 400, and now render area is from frame 120 to frame 400. If you want to return back to the area that was defined by in and out points, you are going to click Edit and click Fusion back again. And now we are back at those points, 125 to 420. Now, as you can see, we have these underlines that are green. This is happening because they are being cached. Because typically it is very difficult for the machine to process these like effects that you're going to create here. This processor intensive. The machine is going to try to cache all of the frames once you click play. Because typical playhead is not smoothing here. Even the most basic effect is going to slow down your machine. So your machine will try to cache all of them, and this green line is going to show you that yes, those frames are cached, and they are going to play back smoothly without any problem. Now, we have a frame increment option in here. Once you get to work with like certain effects that require precision, or they require like jumping through like 10 frames, and you do not really want to count those frames, you can right click in here and select the number of frames that will correspond to your arrow buttons. For example, I want to fine-tune some effect from frame to a frame, but I do not want to go by frames. I want to go half a frame. I can select that, and now I click to the right, it's going to go half a frame. Right click in here and select 10. I'm doing something that does not require fine-tuning, and I want to work every 10 frames. I want to change something. I can select that, and now right click, right arrow, it's going to jump 10 frames. Okay, let's go back to frame 1. Now, if you right click in here somewhere, you have an additional window that is going to give you some options in here. For example, high quality, you can deselect that if you have a very like complicated edit. Motion blur, you can enable proxies, auto proxy, and proxy is going to downscale your image to smaller like resolution for your machine to work faster. So if you have some difficulty working on some effects in here, you can deselect those or select proxy, and vice versa. But if you select proxy, this line is supposed to change to a red one. Yeah, sometimes it happens. When you select proxy, it's going to change to a red one. It will indicate that because you reduce the resolution. Typically, when you do it vice versa, when you work in a lower resolution and then you switch to a higher resolution, it's going to turn red, meaning that it is stored in cache, and you need to recache it in order to be able to play back in a higher resolution. Yes, it sounds a bit complicated, but in reality it is not. Now, let's talk about the main area that you are going to work in. This is the node editor. This is your media in, media out. I already talked about that. You can add different media ins, for example, media in 2. And you can add nodes in here to have some effect. What do I mean? There are actually several ways you can add an effect in here. For example, open effect library. For example, like open effects, and let's take as an example lens blur. You can just drag it, drop it in here. And this node has 3 entry like points and 1 exit point. If you hover your mouse over one, you're going to see in here, the left lower side, the name of it, source 2, source, and effect mask. And you need to connect your media in to one of those like entry points. I don't know how to call them correctly. And then you need to connect an out, this like output to your media out to for your Fusion to render everything in here. It sounds complicated, but you can take this node, drag it in on this line, press Shift and hold it, and once it gets like blue and yellow, release it, and it's going to be inserted in between your media in and your media out. As you can see, it's taking an effect, and if I click in here, now you can see the difference and why would you need to have 2 viewers at the same time. This is the original image. I'm feeding this original image into the first viewer, and this is media out, what is going to render back to my edit page. Media in going into lens blur taking an effect and feeding it into media out to put it on the edit page. Once you click on the lens blur, you can change the parameters in here, okay? And if you want to animate something, let's have a look how it's going to be displayed in here. You can click this diamond, move several frames to the right, and increase your blur. And as you can see on this timeline, on this ruler, there is now two like these white ticks. They represent keyframes. It means that something has been keyframed on this ruler. And indeed, we have this lens blur increasing over time. As you can see, even just a lens blur in my machine, and my machine is kind of powerful, but it's laggy, really laggy. Now it is green, it should play back, yeah, in the real time. Great. This is how it works. You can have a totally different way how to add effects in here. The second way is right-click in here, add tool, and you're gonna have the same effect blur and like directional blur. And you can do absolutely the same, shift, drag it in here, and it's going to take an effect. Once you increase something in here. Yeah. And also there is a third way how to add something in here. You can press Ctrl and spacebar, and if you know what you're looking for example blur, you can type it in here, find the type of blur that you really need, Gaussian blur, add, and it's going to already add in the pipeline because the media in was selected. Yeah, it looks and sounds complicated for those who have never worked inside of something like this, but it's going to get easier, I promise, once you try something for yourself, once you follow some tutorials. Now, these are some of the things that are typically used very often. They are like represented in here separately, so you wouldn't have to go to your, for example, background effect all of the time, opening in here, looking for it. It is located in here. You just can drag and drop it, and it's going to be in here. Or you can select media in, click in here, and it's going to create a merge node. Merge node is one of the most popular, one of the most like frequently used in here, because merge node connects two nodes into one like pipeline. Okay, we're gonna go eventually through many of those, but right now it really doesn't really matter. I'm not going to talk about them. We're going to talk about them once we start editing something and creating some effects in here. Okay, now let's create a lens blur in here and create an animation, because we needed to discuss something else. Okay, so we need to open a different like work area, and yeah, we are going to open a Keyframe Editor. So Keyframe Editor, just a moment. Yeah, for some reason it's going to be all wonky. You just need to press this button to zoom to the right amount. So this portion is where we created some animation, some effect. As you can see, it's going to from like one side to another side. You can press Ctrl and use your scroll wheel to get a little bit closer to this. Now, this is how it like created our animation. This work area is used to change like at what frame it is going to happen. This is like a keyframe editor. It's going to visually show you the animation itself. There are some controls in here. For example, this is like zooming in and out. This is zoom to view everything. You also can select in here what you want to see, what you do not want to see. Like, for example, show only selected tools. Okay, not really helpful, but sometimes it is. Now, this is zooming in and out. You can put your mouse in here, just left click and drag it in order to slowly, smoothly zoom out. Okay. And also you can have, you're gonna have the list of all of the things that are present in your scene in here. And also you have some controls in here. The first one is going to show you. It is called show height spreadsheet. It's going to show you the, for example, media out 1 and what kind of animation we created in here. And this one is going to allow you to time stretch. You can select two keyframes, it time stretch it either to the left or to the right. Now, once you click on the keyframe, this window is going to show you at which frame. As you can see, you can even fine tune it to 21194.3, not like a whole frame. Where it's going to start and how it's going, you can change that. You can start earlier or later, or you can right click on it and see all of the options that are in here. For example, we can increase line signs so we can view it a little bit better. You can also scale it, select copy, smooth or flat or linear. You can even export and import splines. We are going to talk about that a bit later. Right now we're talking just as an introduction, how it looks and what it actually does, what we need it for. Okay, this is keyframes. Now spline is something similar. As you can see, again, we cannot see like anything. We need to click in here, and now we are viewing the splines. Splines, you can adjust the ratio, the view in here. Splines allow us to control the behavior of the animation. Okay, you can select those 2 points and press, for example, F for easing in and easing out. Now this animation is going to start slowly, increasing here, and stop smoothly as well. Controls are pretty similar, but these parameters, they are a little bit, they are different because we are going to control what is happening with those points right in here. And in here you can fine tune again how your effect is going to behave. You can even add points and create something like really strange. Yeah, we're going to use it a bit later once we get to creating some effects to fine tune the dynamic behavior of the effect. Okay. I also forgot to mention that you can go to a particular frame in here. Again, you can type 225.3 and it's going to go to that particular portion of the video. Okay. Now inspector. Inspector allows you to fine tune all of the controls that you have. As usual, as before, you can just click on the note, and inspector is going to show you all of the controls that you have over this node. Now effects library. I'm going to, at the end of this introductory tutorial, I'm going to show you what kind of effects or animations can be achieved inside of the Fusion, because right now it looks like why would you do that? Because you can do the same thing inside of the edit page. But what about, for example, something like this? As you can see, it is extremely complicated. Okay, and yeah, it allows you to create something that is going to be complicated. It doesn't look good. What about like this? Yeah, it allows you to create something like this. So it is an animation and these things are moving and the percentage is moving, everything is moving, and this is how it is created. So we're going to discuss that. We're going to try to create something on our own. And yeah, this is just an introduction. We're gonna get deeper and deeper into this page, which is, again, in my opinion, the most complicated one, the most difficult one. So I'll see you in the next video, where we'll get a bit more complex inside of this page. Yeah, thank you for watching and goodbye.